13 mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Don't you know anything about television?
Hello everybody, welcome to Let's Talk Racing. We are at the famous National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. We're hosting the show here today, and I have Roger Brehm with us. Do you mind telling everybody what all you do and a little background about yourself?
Okay. I was born in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, which is a mere 100 miles down the road. Might as well have been 1,000 to my father. I found out about Knoxville. Well, he made a mistake of taking me to jalopy races. Mount Pleasant had a pretty major half mile, and that was one thing. I loved them, and I was a smart kid, but I never learned anything except names, numbers, and hometowns. And, then I saw sprint cars when I was 7, Jerry Blundy and Harold Leap, and then a bunch of hacks. I couldn't even be bothered with Myrtle the Turtle Girl. I was so excited. And my dad squeezes my leg and goes, "Isn't this something?" This was just hot laps, and thus began the lifelong love affair. So I knew right away about two things: the Hawkeye through Tourity, which was a standalone date on a Tuesday afternoon. I think it was a 100-lapper at the Des Moines State Fairgrounds, and they'd get like 80 cars and every major star, and they'd sell it out. And I knew about Knoxville because actually I had just been racing go-karts with my Uncle John in Oskaloosa, where my mother is from. And I see this mangled beast of a super modified. I'd never seen a super modified before. It was like a souped-up jalopy. It looked like it had been kicked around the block by Godzilla. And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "That's a super modified Knoxville." So there it was. So every Saturday, I started working on my dad. I was 7 then. It took me 7 years. I went down there with my friends once. We didn't get home till 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, so what? So I'd look at the newspaper. The Des Moines Register would come. I'd wait for it. I was so excited. And it said, tonight, it had this thing called Sports Today. Tonight, super modifieds, Knoxville, hot laps, 8:15. First of all, super modified is the coolest word ever. And who starts at 8:15? I thought that was really exotic. Yeah. So it took me 7 years to get here, and it was a real ramshackle, ugly ass place then. But the racetrack wasn't. And I remember seeing Tiger Bob Williams was the first guy I saw hurdle into turn 1, throwing dirt claws halfway to Sigourney. And Blundy was here, the Welds, Joe Saldana was here in that mechanical Rabbit Roadster. The sprint cars really had personality then. So I've spent the rest of my life chasing the dragon. It's like a drug addict. It's like, they're cool, but, I know part of that's youth. But it isn't just that. Sprint cars have lost this cookie cutter thing has got to go, and something's got to be done. So anyway, I write now for Flat Out Magazine. I hail from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've been a touring musician. I have a painting business called One Man Army, and Hire the Handicapped. And I played in, 14 countries in 33 states, and I've played on 17 records. So all I do is chase girls, sprint cars, and music. That's all I do. That's all I've ever done.
Right. Well, I wanted to ask you, what got you into writing? Since you were really involved with racing, what got you to start writing about it and things like that?
Interesting. never really showed much promise, although I could crank out a theme, as they were called, in a composition, without even thinking twice. I got a D in freshman English. It was all like memorize your prepositions, and I hated all that formality.
Oh, same here.
And I had this old bag named Mrs. Clark. I called her Mrs. Clack. And I wouldn't piss on her grave even now. She gave me a D in English. So my sophomore year, I had this sweet lady named Mrs. Anders. She goes, "You have natural ability." So she also knows I have a super short attention span. I'm ADD before it was invented, bipolar before it was invented. So she gives me The Old Man and the Sea by Hemingway. I'm like, well, that's a nice book, you know. To Kill a Mockingbird, we talk about that. So I kind of got my confidence, and I got to tell her before she died what a difference she made. And then when I was 33, I thought, well, freshman year in college, they go, "We can't teach you anything." I got an A for 10 minutes of work. I just showed up the freshman, first paper. They go, "You're out." And I wrote a book of short stories called Square Dancing in a Round House when I was 33, Tales from My Misspent Youth. And I have another one about to release called Shut Up and Listen. So I write about pop culture. I wrote the Ray Charles obituary from the Milwaukee Journal. And if you remember, he died on the same day as Reagan. And it got eclipsed, and I just thought that was wrong. Then as now, I believe Ray Charles was a far better American and more important than Ray Charles. So, what was the question?
What got you inspired and to start writing?
Oh, yeah. Well, there it was. And I got turned on to really good authors. I read a lot of Mark Twain, and I live 30 miles from the Mississippi River. I could live that stuff. So I hate to say it came naturally to me, but it really did. It really did. And then I got a job right out of college, and I joined a band in Champaign, Illinois. There was this real rags, 8 pages, Midwest Racer. Started by a guy named Jeff Burke and his wife. He's in drag racing now. And they just turned me loose. Like, my second assignment was go to the Indy 500, cover it, you have a gold badge. I could go wherever I want. I walked down the grid on race morning and looked into their eyes. I'm like, 17 of these guys are terrified. The other ones don't care if they die. I watched from the tower with James Garner, who's awesome. I met Gomer. I couldn't believe it. Florence Henderson was the grand marshal. They always get such third-tier hacks at that race. I don't know what their problem is. But I don't like pavement anymore. I go to the Little 500 now and again. But I can't be bothered. I just cannot be bothered with pavement. So.
Well, I see that your dad and your family kind of got you into racing. Have you ever done anything in the racing world, like tried driving? Like, I heard you did some go-kart stuff. Like, talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I did a little more than that. But go-karts, again, my father, I don't want to say he was loaded, but when I was about 12, we had pretty much, like, my friends were getting shoulder pads for Christmas, and I got a rec room. But I was like, I don't want a rec room, I want a go-kart. So when I was 14, me and my friend Denny, his dad had a car dealership called Hodson McKim, went to the Iowa State Fair, and I was like, enough with the fair, let's go to Lolly's and buy this motor. So we bought a Chrysler motor. 2 cycles, the ones that wrap out, 2 cycles, right? 4.5 horsepower, but it went 60 miles an hour. It wrapped out to like almost 13 grand. We had a centrifugal clutch. And the first time I stepped on that thing, it was like, not enough power, but this is awesome. We were in a subdivision that my dad had kind of financed to keep these 2 derelicts in business as contractors. And there was a manhole, I mean, not a manhole, but like a big 7-foot ditch.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was just gassing it, just flirting with that thing. And my dad was like, you're insane. So he took it away from me for a couple of weeks. And then this was outlaw racing in its true form. We carved a dirt track out of a pasture. I broke my shoulder. Mother stepped in then. I didn't get to race again until, I don't know, it was in my 20s or 30s. So I run some micros and mini sprints, and I was really good in micros. I was a quarter second off the track record of midgets at the Milwaukee Arena on a 10th mile Coca-Cola soaked, no banking, but those things stick. And the flagman's waving at me like, you're out of control, you're going to be in the stands, and I'm just waving at him like, I am not, So I've only driven 360s and that other stuff, but never in competition with 360. But if Terry holds her word, though I think a race car's dangerous. I'm going to, as payment for my appearance here today, I'm going to run the season closer here at Knoxville on a 305, which is the culmination of my lifelong dream. And then, unless I really get the fever, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
All right. Now, can you name some other important things that you've written for? I know you mentioned some things about like the Ray Charles and that. Can you mention other?
Oh, nothing
things?
important really. Just like little pop culture regional magazines, like the Milwaukee Shepherd Express, like record reviews. Like it's a standing offer every time a Cheap Trick record comes out. The best band in the world. I review the records.
And I heard you did some things for like Halls of Fame, like you wrote some stuff like that.
I wrote Steve Kinzer, Doug Wolfgang, and Jimmy Sills inductions, and Tom Schmay decided that I needed to be more dry, and he was born in and died in. And I cannot not be colorful, and I'm really passionate about these guys, particularly Jimmy Sills. And the story started with something along the lines of Jimmy Sills ages better than a bottle of fine wine, and Schmay changed it to was born and raised in Encino, California, and like I was just furious. And I got in his face pretty hard, and I'm not welcome anymore. So I know. So write to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, care of Tom Schmay. We want Rob McEwen back.
Well, maybe we can help you all out with that. Please do that, because he is such a great. Like Terry was telling me about him, how he's such a great writer and everything.
How
like
does
that.
Terry know?
Because she got you on the show with us.
Yeah, but you haven't even read my stuff, have you? Oh, okay.
Well, she's obviously read your stuff. And we're going to thank
Oh,
you.
this was my crowning blow as a writer when Wolfgang came out of retirement in '97. He had not talked to the press for 5 years. He might have done a short little thing with Bruce Ellis, who he trusted. He didn't really know me. It was a really weird period in my life. I was breaking up with my son Sean's mom. For sure I was manic. The day before I checked myself into the hospital, thought I was having a heart attack, gave them all false information, said I was a highway worker from Memphis, Tennessee, got EKGs, all kinds of stuff, and just walked out. Didn't pay him a dime. And I'm like, I'm going to knock. I didn't sleep that night. I think there were narcotics involved. And I said, I'm driving to Knoxville, and I'm going to interview Wolfgang. So I just march up to him, and I had these silly little credentials from a paper called Midwest Racing News, which was actually a really, really good paper started by a guy named Bill Haglund. He's an excellent, excellent journalist, and he's really old school, and he really encouraged me, because I'd been out of the business for 10 years. And I said, hey, Doug, I'm Rob McEwen. I know everything about your career. I'm not going to waste your time with a bunch of stupid questions. You know, it's time for this radio site. A lot of people misunderstand you. I've defended you. And halfway through, I go, before I could say I'm a great writer, he goes, I know who you are. I'll talk to you. So then, at that time, he was hot lapping. He was running a 360 and a 410. He was just coming back and could not find his feet in Dan Motter's 410, but he was really getting the 360 going. So he went and hot lapped the 360, and I had about 10 minutes to steel my nerves. I had no questions prepared. I went down there and smoked a Marlboro Light, and I was just like trembling, coming unglued. This guy's hung the moon to me, you know. And he's so smart. But we just talked for like an hour. He missed 410 hot laps. I knocked his tear-offs over, and I was just like a mess, really, just a nervous wreck. And they printed the interview with a really nice intro for the Knoxville Nationals that year, and it didn't sell. It just broke my heart. It was like, I got a lot of money for it. In fact, Sprint and Midget offered me, when Dick Bergman offered me ridiculous money, but I forget what the sticking point was. They wanted the rights to it. I could never reuse it. I don't know what it was, but Dick Bergman, I was like, forget it, man. So it didn't sell because people at that time thought Wolfgang was the villain. And you know what? He stuck his neck out like only he can, and the only sad part is, if anything, it's more lax and lame than it ever was. We're going to kill somebody again, you know, with fire, for sure. Huh? Well, they get to you fast here. It ain't gonna happen here. Like, I hate to mention names, but Double X Speedway and killed there, wherever it is in Double X, California, Missouri, I think. I saw them wrenching a girl out of a front-wheel drive four-banger. She had a broken back. They don't have a back brace, and they're just wrenching her out of the car. It's just insane. And they are not equipped to deal with fires at most racetracks. So this did no good, absolutely no good. So, what can you say about Doug Wolfgang, I think his son Robbie made the right choice. I don't think he's a race car driver. I think he's like the smartest kid ever, and he's into math and Jesus, He's going to end up working for NASA, I think. And I think Doug was hard on him because he's a super competitive guy. So.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being on the show. And
that's it? Whoa, I could go on forever.
We're going to do Terry.
Oh, yeah. Huh? Yeah, let's do that.
Terry, let's get some stories.
I want to talk about Terry, man.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Is this your quote, or did somebody assign this to you? I couldn't decide if I wanted to be A.J. Foyt or Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, somebody wrote that. It wasn't me.
That's a pretty good sentence.
It's a pretty good sentence. It was probably more like Cheryl Teagues or...
Who wrote that?
I think somebody from Inside Edition or somebody did that.
You've been on Inside Edition?
I've done Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition, Hard Copy.
She's done lots of stuff.
Did they try to play up the freak angle, though?
No, they really didn't. No, they were pretty cool because, I didn't let them do that. We held them accountable. It's biology. Stay in bounds here. It is what it is. But yeah, everybody. I got a profile on the biography channel, so everybody's kind of done it. But we held our guns with these people. We didn't let them get wacky with it because we weren't going to do it. You can either interview me and treat me like I'm a human being and do the facts, or don't do the interview. It just really comes down to that, It's kind of like Doug Wolfgang. You got to stick to your guns about what's right versus just to do the hype on something.
I'm sick of the homophobia in this sport.
It's crazy.
About you, I dress out of the norm, and
right.
I used to carry this, it's my race bag. I shut the hell up,
Right.
Like, oh, nice purse, and
it's stupid. It's really stupid.
I don't know how many beautiful women I had to have in my arm until I shut them all the hell up. I'm like, really? I'm gay? You know what? I don't even care if I am. Right. I'm not, but if I was, you can only dream about girls like this. It's a really sad part of our sport. Racism and sexism really eats me alive.
It's crazy. I've dealt with sexism quite a bit.
I'll bet you have.
Here. And you just have to stick to your guns. But it's a little disheartening at times when you're just trying to get them to let's talk about the race car. You need to listen to me. This thing is not doing what it's supposed to do, and it just kind of blow you off. But, you just got to weed those people out and get back to the point and surround yourself with people who count.
Yeah.
You know that.
Hard to find them.
They're hard to find.
I can make friends. Keeping them may be another matter.
That's true.
I say whatever I think. I don't have a
You don't think twice.
kill switch.
About what you say.
Right.
I just blurt stuff.
Well, I think about with sprint car racing. Sprint car racing is such a kick-ass sport, and we all love it. But it is really the true blue machismo sport.
Absolutely.
They really kind of live it, breathe it. It's kind of who they are, and it's hard to cut through that. And I got a T-shirt that says, "This ain't tennis, sister."
Mm-hmm. It's not.
I say that all the time about soccer.
Right.
This is not soccer.
This ain't soccer. It's fun. It's cool.
Do you think Danica's forwarded or backwarded the women's forward march in racing?
I think some of it is backwards because she went and sold sex to get famous and to make it work. But she did what worked for her, so it's kind of, when you look at what she's done from a portfolio standpoint, she took that GoDaddy thing and they ran with it. And I actually had the same agent at the time. When
She seems to have a sense of humor.
She has a sense of humor about it. But the problem I have with it, and nothing against Danica, I think it's all marketing that is she going to say no to $25 million? I don't think so.
I don't think anybody would say no to $25 million.
But the problem you run into, it's like you say no to $25 million just on principle of not selling sex to make yourself famous in the ink sponsors.
I think I could do it. Maybe not $25 million, but $25.
$25. But the thing that bugs me, and I think I have a lot of female fans that follow me, and the things that bugs them is the fact that you can go do these silly GoDaddy commercials and sell the sex angle and leave it like, for more, look here, and then you see little 12-year-old girls wearing Danica T-shirts.
I've never looked
Problem.
here. How racy are those?
They're not racy at all.
Oh.
And, it's just a tease. But the tease is the problem, I think. I think they're trying to get away from that with her, at this point, because they realize at some point that's going to run out, and they're going to have to market her from a different perspective. And, but it is what it is. The Cope twins are the ones who really kind of tick me off.
Who?
Derek Cope has a couple nieces. And they're
He's
trying
the
to raise
worst race car driver who
Well,
ever lived.
And they strictly went out and sold sex to gain sponsorship, and they can't drive.
Literally
Literally.
sold sex?
Well, not literally, but presented sex.
You mean that's what keeps that hack in a race car?
Yeah,
Really?
That's twisted.
it's twisted. But it is what it is.
Selling sex in what form? Like mild porn or what?
No. His two nieces are presenting themselves as Playboy models, FM models, that kind of stuff. And they go sell sponsorship, yet they don't have any driving resume to back it up. If you had a driving
Neither
resume,
does he, except he backed into a Daytona 500. He's terrible. He's a really good TV commentator.
he's really, really good.
So's Ricky Craven for a guy who's had his brain
Right.
scrambled.
I know.
He couldn't put a sentence together 10 years ago.
It's amazing.
It's really
amazing.
incredible.
You know, Mark Kinzer cannot, to this day, watch TV without getting vertigo. Sometimes if something moves
really?
too fast. There's a really fascinating article in the New Speed Sport about what Mark's been up to. He's been coaching Christian basketball. This year, so head injuries were.
Right.
92, he stopped winning, man. Everybody, not stop, but 92 doesn't sound right. That's when his injury happened. And sometimes those things are delayed. But, everybody thought it was the Mopar and him and Carl not get along. And, of course, everybody thought he was on drugs.
Sure.
Like, I know Mark,
All that stuff, right.
he might have smoked some weed, but I don't even know that.
Right.
But he's like, he's supposedly in rehab. And he's like, I'm sitting here watching television with my family. He threw his computer out of a moving vehicle. He was so done with it. But he's just like, he works in a sawmill once in a while. He helps his daddy restore cars. He's on the Land Development City Planning Commission of Odelic, Indiana, or however you say that town. He wouldn't go back to racing.
No.
Gun to his head. And he's made enough money where he never has to work again, which is so rare in this sport.
So
But
That's
my latest
incredible.
column is about that. Like, feel better now? You drove one of the nicest men ever out of the sport.
Exactly.
And you're still making jokes about him driving a school bus.
Yeah.
Like, strap into one of these beasts. Let's see what you're made of.
I say that all the time. It's like, if you think you're all that in a bag of chips, let's just open up the chips and see what you're made of.
Drive it and see what it's like, because it's not easy.
I've never been on a half mile. I hope I don't freak. I like speed. I learned to drive on a 67 Mustang, and I back it in on gravel roads at 75 miles an hour, and I ain't dead. And it's a convertible, so
Right.
my high school is clearly divided into people that would ride with me and would not under any circumstances.
Exactly.
If their life depended on it, it's like, no way.
And I didn't realize, Ford factory shocks aren't the same as sprint car shocks. Like, I was just taking insane chances, but didn't even know.
Right.
Oh, and I would reenact scenes from Bullet as I flew over railroad tracks or
God.
call imaginary races. And we raced in cemeteries, around school parking lots.
Right. Oh, God.
We invented alleys. We raced on people's lawns when they were on vacation. It was just insane.
Fun stuff, though, huh?
Oh, I love being
I
a
know.
kid in Iowa.
I know.
Iowa could not contain, Mount Pleasant, Iowa could not. I hope this isn't rationale, but I'm pretty sure this, I was a hood and I got in a lot of trouble. But me and Joe
Not
Rommel
you.
was my best friend, and he was the Desert Fox, General Rommel's great nephew. So we were really sinister, and we were in adults' heads when we were 10. These are sophisticated games, man. And we just go over there, and his parents were never home, and we'd hatch schemes and do them. And that town could not contain my energy or my intellect. It wasn't even intellect. It was just untapped
Awareness.
smartness.
Your awareness for what was going on.
And I thought I was a freak. I thought I was an idiot.
Yeah.
I had no self-esteem. I might as well be a criminal.
Right.
I
know. I'll tell you what, let's do. I think one of the things that fans that usually watch this show are NASCAR fans. So here we are at the Knoxville.
Wake
By
up.
the way, this is Terry O'Connell.
Yeah,
Wake
most
up,
of the fans
people.
know me. That's cool.
Oh, you mean the best recipe for a Sunday afternoon nap ever invented? A bottle of Sominex could not put me to sleep faster
Right.
or longer.
Exactly. This is kind of the Sturgis/Woodstock event for motorsports.
This was awesome.
This is way cool stuff that's going on.
You do need to look into this, because last night when I was watching it, it was awesome. Like, I've never really seen an actual sprint car race.
You haven't?
Here. No. I've seen it on TV. I've never seen it on live. And I used to watch it with my grandpa. I usually watch it with him. And when I come here and I'm down there at the pits, and when you're here also, I can just imagine it in the stands. It is incredible. You really should start looking into this.
What you really should do is buy an infield pass and dangle your toes under the fence like I do. I used to dare Danny Boris, who's a hell of a midget racer. He's won the Chili Bowl twice or 3 times. Now he's retired. But at Sun Prairie, I'd go, run over my toes, man. And he would dive. They ran real low in hot laps, and he would dive at my toes, and I'd pull him back. I'm not that brave anymore, but you want to feel intensity. Smell them, feel them, hear them.
You need to be in the stands. It's
No, you need to be in the infield, like right in turn 3.
It's at, man. It's amazing.
Turn 3.
We were at turn 4, and it was crazy.
I like turn 4, too.
Yeah.
And with that scoreboard,
I watched like 3 spin outs happen right in front of me. It was incredible.
Oh,
Incredible.
I don't know if you want to see a high-velocity crash in 3.
I'd rather not.
People get hurt real bad down there. But
that would make me gasp.
you know, Jan Opperman, to the day he died, blamed himself for Jay's death. Jay had never raced here before. He was just getting started. He got him hooked up with Bob Trossel.
Right.
And he goes, this is pre-wing days, of course, 1970. Season opener, he won his heat. No, he won hot laps and fast time, I think. First heat. And he was always telling Jay, he's like, turn 3's a sweeper, man. You don't even have to burp the gas. And you raced here.
Yeah.
It's a lot less tight than
Yeah, it's a
one.
lot less. This is the corner. You can just drive her off in here. There, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I heard 3's the sweeper, where you can just gas it all the way through.
Right.
So Jay did that and hopped a wheel and went out in the parking lot and killed himself, and Jay never. And this is my favorite racing story. Everybody talks about the Jan Opperman, Kenny Weld rivalry, and was it real? But it wasn't the hippie versus the redneck. Kenny was already smoking weed.
Right.
Kenny was not a nice man because he was on a different plane. He was smarter than Jan, but Jan had more psychological warfare in his arsenal.
Right.
He'd just go, hey, how are you, Kenny, you old redneck? And like people flocked to Jan. Nobody got near.
Right.
When Kenny got out of prison, I tried to go, dude, this means so much to me to have your back. This creation of yours is awesome. And he just wasn't cool, really disappointed. But anyway, he slogged through the woods. I think at that time, you know how Opp always lived in these really far-flung places,
Right.
Beaver Crossing, Nebraska, Knoxville, Montana. He loved the mountains. He was a mountain boy. And somehow, Kenny found him, slogged through the woods in the middle of the night, knocked on his door, and told him his brother had been murdered at Knoxville. And it was raining.
That's amazing.
This is the kind of sport this is.
Right. It really is. It really is. In my book, in my memoir, I write a little bit about that whole behind-the-scene head play that gets going on. It's a tough thing. It's a tough sport. It can be really, really tough on you. You have to really grow some thick skin, and you got to have perspective on what you're doing, and let the rest of it slide and get away from you. Because if you don't, it will get in your head.
Davey Ray heard last rites being administered to Chad McDaniel. The last time they ever ran a midget here, they crashed together, and it looked like Davey got the far worse end of it. Well, we're really good friends. And can you imagine? He's like a cubicle away while this kid is dying, and I think it really got in Davey's head for a while.
Sure.
He's never stopped being fast, but his dad even said he was a hard-bitten man. He's like, you sure you all right with this? You know, like, yeah, it's when Keith Hutton got it, man, and then 2 days later, it was Curtis Boyer was for all practical purposes. I'm not a terribly religious guy, but I am spiritual, and if Curtis Boyer hadn't believed in the Lord, he'd be dead. He was dead.
Yeah.
And I tried to get out of the infield. I was crying, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, let me out. I'm done with this sport. And they're like, we're not opening the gate. So I worked through it, but man,
absolutely.
I'm too sensitive for the sport. I really think so.
Yeah. It's a tough gig. It's a fun. The thing about the sport, it is. I call it the cage fighting of motorsports.
Oh, that's good.
You know, because it is kind of got that you're contained. You have high velocity, big speed, and big egos, and big courage, and it's all put in a little arena here, and they're just on top.
Oh, this
of
arena ain't little.
That's right.
This is
This
big.
arena
I
ain't
don't know what
little.
you mean is not little. Do you see what you're looking at out there? We're looking at this track. This track is huge. Compared to what little tracks I've been to, this thing is big.
If you want to grow some sack, watch midgets on a mile.
I know. Roger's going to turn the camera around, let you guys see how huge this track is. It is just incredible.
I don't suppose you've ever seen the footage of Dan Drinan killing himself at Springfield. He lived, but
Yeah, I remember seeing
I
that
don't
footage.
know how.
Right.
I'm telling you, he flipped for 30 to 40 seconds.
Right.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
Snap rolls. He was dead. And he's still one of the most brilliant, innovative minds. That guy designed a land speed motorcycle.
Right.
He'd never been on one.
Right.
He calls up Chris Carr, the great short track guy. Hey, man, you want to ride a set a land speed record? Carr didn't even ask questions. Sure. When do I have to be there? Now, you think sprint car drivers are brave? They're going to run these things later in the year. I've never seen them here yet.
Right.
Short track motorcycles.
Amazing
Those guys are nuts.
Stuff. Amazing
They run.
stuff.
They really bang handlebars.
I really wish I could see this.
They bang handlebars. Well, where do you live?
Well, I live in Virginia.
Oh, you're screwed.
We drove like all day to get here. When we got here, we were exhausted. Me and Roger, as soon as we got to the beds, we were out. So,
You people that live in Virginia, what was that outlaw track? They ran a World Outlaw race. I followed them in 2010 everywhere. West Virginia or Virginia?
It's West Virginia.
I think that's West Virginia.
Oh, my God.
That's not my Virginia.
And everybody thinks everything's 3 miles in West Virginia. Where is the racetrack?
Right.
3 miles down the way, and I went
it's
about
not 3
45 minutes, man.
Terry measurement.
Awesome.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Awesome facility. What would the name of that racetrack be? Red clay, big half, even the street
They run the
stocks
late
were
models up
riveting.
there all the time.
Dark Pond or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When you
It
get
was
up
bought by a
there-
NASCAR guy.
Right.
Oh god.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. In West
Yeah.
Virginia, they tell you, oh, it's just a little way down yonder. Yeah, that means like about an hour's drive. Okay.
I mean, I'm still pissed over running wings in the sport, but I witnessed some of the reasons here at Knoxville.
Right.
Dickie Stone King was a boyhood friend of mine, and he put a flagman in a wheelchair for life just because a torsion stop broke.
Right.
I wasn't
Exactly.
aware that a torsion stop breaking can launch you. That's how volatile and fragile these things are. And then within 2 years, it was Dolly and Larson on July 7th, 79. The next year, Stone King got it, and then 2 years later, Gary Scott, which was
Right.
so grisly, people still can't talk about it. And Bob Trossel, who was the kingpin at the time, said, I am never coming back here without a wing and load it up. So 2 weeks later, they had a big fair board meeting, and they was like, this is a moral issue now.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I didn't forgive him for years. I even made a hat where I could scream him out.
Right.
I couldn't see the wings.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
But they ran wings for some reason in '73 here for the Nationals,
Yeah.
and I just hated it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is slot car racing, man.
Right.
I'm not impressed by speed.
I'm really not either. I'm more impressed with the strategic positioning
Yeah,
of
yeah.
trying to drive a race car with big horsepower.
Cluster racing,
Right.
man.
Because by driving here, it is really kind of a slot car deal. You got to get the race car really hooked up and just drive it. And then you're just kind of waiting on somebody to do something where you can get by them. We're on a racetrack where you really got to drive it off in there and hustle the car. That's a different.
I got in a
different
pretty
perspective.
heated argument with Dean Mills about an opening night of the 360 Nats because there was a killer duel for the lead, and Clint Garner and Jesse
Right.
Giannetto, who
Right.
hadn't been in a race car for 2 years, waging war for 10th. But, like, where's the cluster racing, man?
Right.
Like, I like 12th through 17th. It's like people that don't go to races watch the leader. I'm like, there's
Right.
never anything happening up front,
Right.
man. They're in clean air. They just check out.
Exactly. Exactly.
You gotta check everything. so
And
you
the
can see
Outlaws,
interaction.
not to MF them, but really they don't race till they get in lap traffic. So
They
if
don't
you get a
race
lot of
till-
yellows, their shows kind of suck.
Exactly.
They're what
It's
my
all fun.
they're what my credentials.
It's all fun.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't have an outlaw card.
So,
I don't have an outlaw card anyway.
I know that you're the man in the know about what goes on in the campgrounds. Because
Yeah.
I see you out trolling around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So what's the
I'm
latest?
not exactly partying or trolling though. I'm like working all the time.
Yeah.
I really am.
So what's the latest? I know who's up to what? What's going on? Who's got the next big deal going on? Who's losing their deal?
Yeah, tell us some
Little rumor
stuff.
gossip, man. I never heard
Really?
anybody.
For
Brian
sure.
Brown has every sponsorship in Iowa.
Right? He does. He does.
Randy Smith, who's a 6-time track champion, won't admit it, but I think he's flirting with coming out of retirement. He looks great. He's a health
Right.
food nut.
Right.
Super hot wife.
Smoking hot.
Oh, crazy hot. And I think he's going to race again. I really think he is. I think my friend Randy Anderson really is done. I think Jesse Giannetto has earned the right to be a race car driver
Right.
again. You know,
Right.
he spent his family's money locally. Let's see. I think Don Drought is the most underrated race car driver in
I
America,
agree.
if not the world.
I agree.
As is Clint Garner, as is Dustin Selvage.
Right.
Very
Selvage is
impressed
good.
by him. And I guess my favorite thing about Knoxville is the three. I call them throttle psychos, but I mean it in a very upbeat manner. Would be Dobmeyer and little Davey Heskin. When my
Heskins.
girlfriend first met him, she goes, "He's just a baby." I'm like, "Wait till he screws on the skid lid. He's an animal." And God, who's the other sweet kid that's just nuts? I can't think of it. A 360 guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love that facet of the sport.
Right.
And you see him, and I think this happens to all fans. You see him out there just being like regular humans. And I mean, I used to like stand at the pit gate and watch Steve Kinzer eat cheeseburgers, and I couldn't believe that he was human. Like, he eats cheeseburgers. Look, my girlfriend would be like, "Why do we have to get here at 3:30?" I'm like, "Because Kinzer might eat a cheeseburger." You don't understand.
Cheeseburger.
But these guys,
Right.
you think, "Well, I could do that." Look at him. You know.
No, you can't. It's not that easy.
Guess what? You can't.
No, it takes some real hard dedication and some practice and talent because it's not easy at all. I know that.
I don't.
Just watching it, I can tell it's not easy.
I don't have proof of this, but I do know for a fact there were a lot of outlaws racing on cocaine in the 80s, and that's why there were so many crashes and so much turmoil in the sport. And I think Adderall for ADD is the new courage drug.
Right.
There doesn't
Totally
seem to
is.
so far be a like downside to it.
AJ
It's not even
Allmendinger.
bad for you, is
Right.
it? Is that what it was?
That's what it was. He took one.
To race?
Well, he took one just to pick him up. He was run down, not feeling good. And one of his buddies said, "This is what this is. Take it. It'll make you feel better. Don't worry about it."
They get a hard on for people.
Yeah.
You know, I think Jeremy Mayfield had a hard on for,
Totally
and
did. Totally did.
yet they've let Junior slide on some real stuff. Like,
Right.
oh man, I can't tell you what I know about that guy.
Right.
But
Oh man.
except he's a slut.
Oh.
But I think I like him. I think he'd be a really fun guy to hang around with. I think
Sure.
he's really awesome that he's kept his same buddies, I think.
Right.
I heard he has a KISS pinball machine in his basement, you know.
That's interesting.
But yeah, Adderall. I know several race teams that seem to travel with it. You know,
Yeah.
can drug testing be far behind in sprint car racing? I wonder.
You know, and I actually, when I made a decision to come up here and race this season, you know, I had to think about that aspect of who am I going to be competing with, because you know I've been around the sport. I've never
Did you know who these guys
well,
were?
I knew. Yeah, I know these guys. I've kept up with it, and also know the inner workings behind the scenes, what goes on, and it concerned me because, you know, I consider myself a kind of a health nut too, and I always keep myself pure, and it bugs me.
You don't drink or anything?
I drink a little bit, not a lot, and beer, a little with my buddies. But I don't like competing with people who are got themselves chemically induced to make themselves braver. That's just not right.
That's not good.
And I've seen a little bit of that since I've been here, and it bothers me. I don't like it. You know.
It's not good for you.
Right.
It's not good for the sport that you're doing, and you need to find a different alternative.
Right.
There should be a better and different way for you not to result to that. Because if you get yourself mixed up with that, you're going to end up getting involved so much and into something that you will regret.
You run with a bad class of people, and your reflexes are not the same. You overreact.
It's just bad.
You can't race nervous.
No.
And if you got to take drugs to strap into one of these things, guess what? Play soccer.
Really,
Don't do it.
do something else. If you can't get in the zone and get focused for what you need to do, and you have to do something to get you that way, it's really not meant to be in my opinion. Like, if you can't get where your nerves are calm and you have fun with it and you're not nervous, that's great. But if you get to where you're so tense and nervous and stressed getting into the sport, then you need to find something else.
Not Shane Meal, but Aaron Fike. I could just slap him around to this day. What a talent! What an idiot! You know, and then both of the Fike brothers. Sorry, boys, love you both, but you know they were racing midgets on X.
It's crazy.
But they were exciting and they were really good. It's like, how good could you have been if you had not been on that stuff?
Right.
But now there's a guy like Clint Garner who won't even smoke weed.
Right.
We're talking about all kinds of things. We're getting off subject so much. You know this show never stays on track. We start talking about the most ridiculous, crazy things.
But Clint is so calculated. Like, he walks through the field, even in a heat race. He knows what the drivers can do, but he says, oh, he's kicked out his right rear. He's going to the top.
Right.
Oh, that guy can't run the top. He'll be on the bottom. He's like already got it sized up where he's going to run on the first lap.
Right.
I love that gamesmanship.
Right.
And most guys are just steer and stab.
They're just looking right there driving.
That's another thing. A lot of guys never figure out that you got to drive past your front wheels. Like, that was instinctive to me.
Yeah. You got to have that vision, not just peripheral, but forward vision. I call it driving with the hood ornament.
That's
They
right.
drive with their front wing. That's what gets them in trouble.
Wolfgang claims that when he claims he peaked right before the fire. He was just starting to get good in '91 because he was with Max Rogers, who's a farmer.
Right.
And he's like, go ahead, harvest. Oh, your daughter's graduating? He's like, I wasn't consumed. I wasn't all ate up by competition. I raced when I wanted, so I was passionate. I miss a Thursday night. He goes, I could go down the front straightaway and figure out on the back straightaway when I was going to catch a lapper and where I was going to set him up. I'm like, really? And he's like, came to me like.
Right.
Conversely, when he first started racing in a modified, he's like, I was really disappointed. I wanted to scare the dog crap out of me, and it wasn't even scary. I've had that sensation. There's nothing worse than that.
Right.
You know, I bungee dove head first, 600 feet. Like, this isn't scary.
Right.
Those go-karts you rent, I mean the fast ones where you sign the waiver and, you know, I've even crashed them pretty hard trying to scare myself. It's like, they just don't scare me.
Right.
These things are going to scare me here, I think. Do you think it'll scare me? You know me.
Yeah, it'll scare you.
First lap?
Oh, totally.
Because when I was here and they just started the first lap, there was a wreck literally right in front of me. He went on his side on turn 4. It was just trying to get to the first lap.
Oh,
just
the blue
starting.
81?
Yes.
He was
that
knocked
one.
out for a couple of minutes, I think.
When I saw that, and I was literally right there where he just lost it and he went, and I was just standing there like with my
Darling,
hands
you've
on my
never
chest.
seen a sprint car crash. That same kid launched out over that Goodyear
Oh yeah, he was
fence
telling
earlier
me
in the summer.
the guy who is your manager in Cruise.
Right.
What's his name again? Tom. He was telling me some stories about how when the guys go right up against the cushion, if they head it wrong, then they'll go flying. He was showing me where each sign where
Jumping the
someone's
cushion.
literally flew through there, where people have almost flown into these stands, and I'm just blowing my mind. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And he's like, this is probably one of the most dangerous spots, but I'm like, but the view is so good though.
This place doesn't develop a ledge on the cushion customarily, but places that do, like Sun Prairie, midgets, 800 pounds, the cushion has a ledge on it, sometimes 2 feet deep. So when an 800-pound car slams against that,
it's gone.
I was at Sun Prairie in 1980. I'd been there 10 minutes, and a guy died. Rick Hall from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh my God.
10 minutes. I'm like, this is a serious place. Wow.
No, duh. Good God. I couldn't imagine that.
Should sign a waiver just to go in that place.
Exactly.
I know.
So tonight, they're doing something a little different here tonight. They're going to have like a restart, regroup, second chance. What do you think? Is it a wise decision?
Oh, yes. I always liked the Friday
It's gonna
programs.
be
First
real
of all,
Yeah.
I defend the old non-qualifier system because they're always desperate guys
Right.
and they need money, and it was a great night for guys that don't make money. But there was always a couple, 3 or 4 really underachieving, desperate guys who, through bad luck or whatever, mechanical breakdown. But this is going to be cool. 16 guys are locked in. 17 through 26 can restack for points. And there are some heavies, man. Danny Osowski, Steve Kinzer, Paul McMahon. Who else?
Where's Sammy?
Sammy.
Stack up? Right.
Yep.
The thing is, like, it gets some really good, intense racing because they're fighting for a spot. Like, they're like, when they get on there, let's just say it's a do or die. So they're going to do all they can to get in. And that gives you some really awesome, intense racing. When we were at the B main and they were all fighting for those couple spots, oh my goodness. That was some awesome, good stuff. And it's real intense. And when you feel those cars just fly by, and it's just incredible.
Was the B good? I thought it was the C, so I was reading a Mark Kinzer article.
And we were
I
confused too
missed
because
it.
when he announced it, like, we didn't really hear him because when you're down there, it's really loud and noisy in the pit. So we weren't sure if it was the B or C main, and right at the end, it showed on the screen that it was B main.
Somebody passed a bunch of cars to make it, right? Forget who.
Oh God, who was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I think somebody went
it
from
was
Tim
all,
Kading, maybe?
I think so.
He's good at that.
Yeah.
It was just incredible. And
Well, this is how much I love Friday nights.
It's good racing, and I cannot wait. Tonight's going to be real incredible. And when Saturday gets here, everybody please tune in to Speed. Let's meet live and watch this, because it is just incredible when you see how fast these cars go, how intense it is, and how they all are really wanting. They got a passion for it. They want to get in there, they want to win, and they want to do what they can. And it's incredible. It just blows me away how crazy this is.
Slightly off subject, I've had a lifelong conflict between racing and girls and rock and roll, and a lot of times the same girls that attracted me for those reasons go, well, what do you mean you're playing in Decatur tomorrow? Like, yeah, I'm playing in Decatur, and after that I'm going to Williams Grove. You know, well, where's the glam? You know, they don't say that, but like, well, this isn't glamorous. But in 96 or so, I was really hitting it off with, I don't know, it wasn't like Miss Hearst Golden Shifter, but some queen. And we had a Friday afternoon date. What do you call online skating? What do you call it again? You know,
I don't know. I don't do that.
You know what I mean?
Don't ask me.
They're like ice skates, only with wheels.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is
Rollerblading.
this is not a cool town for that, because the sidewalks are insane.
Right.
Like
I can't rollerblade. No.
About 6 o'clock. I mean, she was ready to rock, and about 6 o'clock, I heard motors fire, and I was like, all right, I gotta go, thanks. And she was just like aghast, like, what? I go,
it's like, have fun. See ya.
Boy, did she?
Fun stuff.
She didn't talk to me after that, boy.
Oh man,
Cool beans.
way to go on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
do
Rob,
the
what
same
you got
thing.
going on? What's the next play for you? What's cooking? You right?
What's the question? What am I? What?
Yeah, what's the next play for you? You got some writing projects coming up?
Anything coming up new
Anything
that
kicking?
you're doing?
I'm finishing my album, The Animal Magnets Step on Your Neck. It's all my material. Songs are called You Ain't Nothing But White Trash, The Macho Queen, Brains in a Jar. There's a couple ballads, Oh Boy Are You a Man or a Mouse. One called My Elizabeth, which I think is the prettiest song I've ever written. But it's kind of a Milwaukee super group. And I relinquished my drum chair, which I rarely ever do. And I'm just fronting the band. This drummer is John Bonham personified, but he's got Charlie Watts groove, and he's unlike 14 years ago when he first formed. He was a young fragile ego, and I couldn't tell him how to play, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but sometimes my drum parts are written into the songs. The fills are there, they're designed. You're like, well, that's no fun. But now he's just, and then he comes up. I have this one song, like, she's Venus de Milo, she's the let's see, who is it? She's the Mona Lisa, she's Venus de Milo with arms, and he goes, like, what a brilliant move that is, you know? Like, I never would have thought of that.
Right.
So I'm going to finish that stupid album, which I've been working on for 2 years. I turned into Brian Wilson. I can't finish mixing it, so I'm just getting an outside force.
Right.
Go, dude.
By the way, I used to eat breakfast with Brian Wilson. Right.
Post-brain
No.
post-brain boil, or
Yeah, post. Yeah.
if you told me you slept with Dennis Wilson, I'd be a lot more impressed. I'd sleep with Dennis
Chris
Wilson.
Johnson,
No, Dennis Wilson, not Bruce Johnston.
No.
He's not even a Beach Boy.
Yeah.
I am a Glenn Campbell fan, though. Ooh.
Oh, no, he's awesome.
He's dying, isn't he?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh.
Isn't that weird? Brian's the surviving John.
It's amazing.
Wilson brother.
And he has all his kids come up in the van. So
Were you California based for a while?
Yeah, Beverly Hills, yeah.
Did you know Alex Chilton in
No.
Memphis? You know who he is? When he was 16, send me a ticket on an airplane, ain't got time.
Totally
That dude.
Lifestyles.
And then he resurfaced in a band called Big Star. What was funny about Alex Chilton was when he was 16, he sounded like a 35-year-old black man. When he was 35, he sounded like a 16-year-old white boy.
Right.
Really pretty, Beatlesque, 72, before there was power pop, pre-Raspberries. These pretty, delicate, kind of druggy songs. Nobody bought the records but critics the world over. And he was just so back on top of his game. He'd do a box tops tour a year to make money, and Big Star had reformed with this band called the Posies with the 2 remaining members. And then 56, he just dropped dead, heart attack. He wasn't overweight.
Just bam.
Didn't do anything wrong, really. Smoked cigarettes, drank a lot, but, you know, just in your genetics.
It is in your DNA. It really is.
Yeah.
I should know. Exactly.
Well, he recorded at Trident Studios, which is a very, very famous Memphis studio.
Right, it is. Right.
Like, yeah, I went to Sun, but I was like, show me Trident, man.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those guys, when I'm in Memphis, I go to BB King's often. It's kind of my little group of guys I know, the musicians, they're fabulous musicians. But a lot of the old Memphis groups, that's where they hang out.
I bet you know Bubba Feathers. Charlie Feathers' son,
right, exactly.
He's got this roadhouse gig out west of town, this crummy little roadhouse, and it's the greatest story. I went there with, I'm showing my Dutch girlfriend. I know. We're not even talking about racing.
Y'all are jabbing your jaw so well. I'm like, okay.
You know what's scary is probably most of the stuff we're talking about before she was born.
I know.
So how about you guys? You know what? I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna take a break.
No.
Have some lunch. Let us take over the show.
No, you got to hear this story. This is a great story. So I like the biggest dumbass who ever lived. I'm in the hooker capital of the world.
Is there
I
an
fall
off
in love.
button or a mute pause?
No, there isn't. I fall in love with a Dutch woman named Kim Vanderleden on the first day I was there, and so she came to America. It was the trial run, like Scorpio. I'm like, well, you get everything's a secret. You are, and her dad was rich, and she never ever paid for anything. I took her to Canada. But boy, when she needed $1,000 for her dress, it was always there. You know what I mean? So I got suspicious. So we go to this club in Memphis. I went to Sun, and I go, "Where's the action?" They're like, "Beale Street." I go, "Shut the hell up! That's Disneyland to me." Where's Jerry Lee Hernando's Hideaway? Is he there? Well, he's kicked out of there, but he might be out. So I go out to this place, and these guys sidle right up to me. I figure it's the woman I'm with, and they go, "Y'all pick," which is Memphis vernacular for "do you play?" I go, "Yeah, I'm a drummer." And they go, "Yeah, that's what we was all saying. See that worthless piece of shit over there? That's our drummer. What a worthless piece of shit he is." And he's like drunk and chatting up some slut. And he goes, "He's done for. You want to play tonight?" And I'm like, "What do you do? Old country and rockabilly?" So the first set, it was exactly that. Then the black chicks and the horn players come up. They're the best R&B soul band ever. So I just had the best time of my life, and afterwards they go, "Y'all pick good," and then in unison, "For a Yankee." They can't get past it, man.
They cannot get past it. They live it, breathe it.
It's like, sorry, we won the war. We are superior.
Thank you. Hello.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Memphis.
Grant was a better general than Lee.
I know.
He just had more money. It's like racing.
No.
He might. That might be true.
War, how much do you want to win?
The Germans lost the war because they spent all their money on uniforms. They looked great. They won the fashion war.
They totally did.
What is that? What is that?
That's her. That's hers.
Oh.
I had a feeling you'd do that. Roger, why didn't you put one by him?
Because I saw one over there. I thought that was his.
Well, still, you could have at least been courteous enough.
Okay, that's the last story I'm telling. Anybody else got anything else?
No, it's good. I thought we got off on a tangent. I thought it was cool.
How much should we do? He started talking so much. I
Don't you have to do
how
some
much
kind of anchor lady sign off?
I know. That's why I'm like, is it time for that? I don't know how long have we done this for? I don't even know if we've done
this. It's a good solid hour.
Well, you know what? Besides getting off track and all these stories, keep tuning in to Let's Talk Racing. We'll have more guests and more shows coming on later in the week. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Put it on Facebook when we're going to have somebody popping on and what times.
This is interesting.
The shows are going to try to be at 12 and at 4:30.
Do you have instant playback just for a minute? I'd like to see how we come off.
We can do that because as soon as we're done, it goes right to
Was I
YouTube
talking
Live.
fast?
No, you were good. Great face.
My mother always criticized me for talking fast.
Same here.
I'm like, I think fast.
In drama, they get you on that. If you talk too fast during a skit, my drama teacher will yell, "Stop! Redo it! Slow down!" And then you kind of go like...
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seatbelts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, driving 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Let's Talk Racing is brought to you by PC Doctors, Computer Sales and Services. This doctor still makes house calls. And also Hampton Incredible Tees and Signs, both located at 1248 North King Street in Hampton, Virginia.